Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek here, back here with another news bite, another shorter show. So I'm still not 100%, plus I've been out in the garden today, doing gardening work, and I hate gardening, and I'm aching, and I'm fed up. But I've still got that little bit of a cough, so I might start coughing. You never know. Right, so we've got a bit of Star Trek news today, so we'll crack on and we'll get on with the Star Trek news. There we go. Star Trek Deep Space Nine stars reveal their conditions for returning to the franchise. The Star Trek universe is one of the most active franchises in all of entertainment. Yeah, just make sure you can see that, yeah. Right now, with a number of acclaimed TV shows on Paramount Plus. Yeah, not the new ones. They're not the acclaimed ones. The original ones, you know, the classic Trek ones. They're the acclaimed ones. The J.J. Abrams cast looking to return for a fourth outing on the big screen. Won't hold your breath. There's also different approaches with some of the TV shows recasting classic roles. Oh yeah, Strange New Worlds. It's going to be awful, is that? It is. I like Anson Mount and I like Rebecca Romaine, but it's going to be absolutely terrible. It is. Telling you, I'm warning you. But there'll be people out there who like it, you know, just sit there and just soak it all up, you know. Oh, Star Trek, oh, I love it. You know, don't give anything any critical thought. Just goes in their eyeballs and their ear holes. They just go, oh! You know you are. Anyway, while Picard brings back actors from the franchise's past to reprise their old roles. That keeps the old question alive for Trek veterans. Would you return to the franchise? And if so, what would it take to bring you back to the Star Trek universe? Nana visitor Alexander Siddig and Chase Masterson. You remember when Alexander Siddig used to be Siddig El Fadil in the first few seasons of Deep Space Nine? But then he's changed it for some reason. Anyway, appeared at the Star Trek Mission Chicago for a Deep Space Nine panel over the weekend and got the inevitable question. Got the inevitable question. That what I've just said up there. I'm out of practice. Not that makes any difference. Each had their own distinct but fairly similar conditions for returning. I would love it. But I would want to know that there was some kind of continuity that it would really matter, Visitor said. I mean, there are some jobs where they're jobs and I go, it's all right, I do acting jobs for different reasons. Star Trek is something else. And the relationship with the audience is something else. I really do feel the responsibility. Well, I'm glad somebody does. So unless it was a certain thing, a certain way, certain writers, I would be concerned. Would I want to... Do I want Ira Stephen Bear to write one and say, Nana, come back? Yes. So basically this is saying you should want the original Deep Space Nine crew back and not some shitty bloody writer that's done daytime TV and whatever the hell they've got doing Picard and Strange New Worlds and all these things. What are you doing, Princess? Sorry, my cat's just come nosying. What are you up to? I can see your little head peeking over my monitor. I can. You're being gorgeous, you are you? Hello, you. Yes. I know you can't see because I ain't got the camera on. But she's beautiful. And she's nosy, aren't you? Yes, you are. Where were we? So she'd want basically Ira Stephen Bear to come back and say, we're going to be like what it used to be. Because I think deep down, even the original cast... and crew, to an extent, you know, behind the camera, know that modern Star Trek is crap. I mean, you get people that... There are people that have worked on this new series of Picard who are from, classic Star Trek, such as Doug Drexler and the Okudas, Mike and Denise Okuda, who have done some work on the... excuse me. On the new ships and stuff like that we saw at the beginning of Star Trek Picard. Season 2, and they did a good job, but they've been saying, no, it's great as this season, and it ain't, is it? It isn't great. But that first episode, you know, showed promise, but it just went downhill, didn't it? So that's Nana Visitor. So she's saying she'd go back if they got the old crew back, writing and stuff like that. writer's room. Next up we go to Alexander Siddig. I just can't believe... sorry, I can't even read now. I just can't think of how Bashir, where he exists after his Deep Space Nine, Siddig said. I mean, I know he was extremely human. He was more human than human, wasn't he? He was a bit like a replicant, wasn't he? Because he was genetically enhanced, wasn't he? Illegally, might I add. And he's probably a retired doctor or working for an NGO. Did they have NGOs in the 24th century? I don't know. Or maybe just collecting butterflies with Garak. That's a little dig there, because I think Andrew Robinson, who once suggested that Garak might be gay. I never saw it that way myself because he was madly in love with, what was her name? Ducat's daughter. He was madly in love with her, wasn't he? Till she died. So there you go. So he wasn't gay. He was bisexual. He wasn't. Shut up. Stop bloody faffing with stuff. I forgot what he was saying now. So where did he... So he hadn't basically said... He hadn't said what he'd do. He just waffled, hadn't he? A bit like what I do. Anyway, Chase Masterson. I would want to make sure that Lita, I don't think they need me anymore to be any kind of thing other than a strong character. Yeah, because Lita's character was amazingly strong, wasn't she? She was there to look nice at the start and to marry Rom, and basically at the end just to stand in the background and go, which she did, didn't she, when she started crying. But she's a lovely person, a lovely actress. I've met her a couple of times at conventions and she's gorgeous. But a character, no matter how much you want to say otherwise, she was there to be easy on the eye. I'm sorry, but that's just how it was. Anyway, she goes on. And I think if it had to do with social justice, it could work. Oh, Chase, give up. But anything else, I think we've already done that. I think moving along the social justice narrative in terms of Latinum not being the focus of Ferenginar, that I'd like to do. Oh, yes, you just want to change the whole of Ferengi culture. Because you're a strong, put it in there, strong, and little quotes, female character. They said, no, Quark's new Moogie. I forgot her name now. She got married to the Grand Negus, didn't she? I think she got married to him, didn't she? And she started changing things behind the scenes, but they didn't completely change it, did they? There we go, that's it. Then they're just going to explain Deep Space Nine. So basically, the only one out of them three that really had anything sensible to say was Nana Visitor, who said she'd go back if it was the old writing staff. Chase Masterson just wants to go and do social justice stuff. It should be an SJW. And Alexander Siddig didn't say anything. He can't imagine where Bashir is. He'd still been picking Starfleet, wouldn't he? He probably, by this time, if we're looking it to be, in the Picard timeline, so early 25th century, he's probably a full commander by now. He's probably the head. I doubt he could still be on Deep Space Nine, or he could be at Starfleet Medical. He could be doing all sorts of stuff. Well, there he says he's probably a retired doctor or working for an NGO. It means not in Starfleet, basically. So there you go. So will we see Deep Space Nine return? You never know, do you, these days? I hope not. Right. Picard Season 3 has to solve Star Trek's confusing Worf problem. Make sure that's still going. Yeah, it is. Worf's return in Star Trek Picard Season 3 is highly anticipated, and hopefully the Klingons' contradictory career in TNG and DS9 will be reconciled. And they do mention right at the end what it'll look like. I just thought I'd tell you that. Because I read this. I just usually read the titles and then think, oh, that's interesting. Let's see. Right, Worf's, Michael Dorn, confusing status has to be settled in Star Trek Picard Season 3 and defined once and for all. On First Contact Day, 2022, April 5th. I'm going to cough just a minute. Excuse me. Paramount announced that the entire principal cast of Star Trek The Next Generation is reunited in Star Trek Picard Season 3, except for Will Wheaton. Yeah. Shut up, Wesley. TNG legends Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis and Brent Spiner were all part of Star Trek Picard Season 1, and Spiner returned as Dr. Adam Soong in Season 2, but Picard Season 3 will mark the long-awaited returns of Gates McFadden, LeVar Burton and Michael Dorn. Star Trek Picard showrunner Terry Matalas. Sorry, I've just got to say it like that. It might be Matalas, I don't know, but I always say Matalas. Because I'm an idiot. Promise Season 3 will be a proper send-off for the beloved TNG crew. But hopefully the tumult surrounding Worf will finally be settled. And I know what they're on about here, because at the end of Deep Space Nine, he went off to be basically the Federation ambassador to Kronos. And then he appeared in Star Trek Nemesis, didn't he? In a Starfleet uniform. And everyone were like, I thought you'd sodded off to do, Klingon-y things. Because they made Martok the Chancellor, didn't they? Because Worf killed Gowron in Deep Space Nine. Anyway, spoilers. The most popular Klingon character in Star Trek history, Lieutenant Worf, debuted in Star Trek The Next Generation's premiere Encounter at Farpoint, and he remained a key cast member throughout TNG's record-setting 7-season run in syndication. Through Worf, the first Klingon in Starfleet, the Klingon culture was thoroughly explored and defined. Worf also became the USS Enterprise D's Chief of Security, after Tasha Yar was killed by that creature thing. Oh, they called him now. In the Skin of Evil, killed by that thing in here, wasn't she? A role he retained after TNG made the jump to feature films. In Star Trek Generations, Worf was promoted to Lieutenant Commander, but concurrent to that film premiere, the Klingon joined the cast of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, went in Season 4. And he became the space station's strategic operations officer from seasons 4 to 7. Yes, and he moved from operations to command, didn't he? Because he changed his uniform from gold to red. Or the other way around? No, from gold to red, wasn't it? Worf also fell in love and married Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax, Terry Farrell, who was tragically murdered in DS9 Season 6. And then briefly had an affair, a fling with Ezri Dax, didn't he? Because they thought they could rekindle the romance, but it wasn't to be. Anyway, because Ezri kind of fancied Dr. Bashir, didn't she? But there we go. Yet Worf also returned to the Enterprise and took part in every TNG movie during and after DS9 ended its 7-season run. Worf's final canonical appearance was in 2002 Star Trek Nemesis. So Star Trek Picard Season 3 marks the Klingons' long-awaited return after 21 years. Because of the Klingon splitting his time between Star Trek The Next Generation's movies and Deep Space Nine, Worf's status has been contradictory and needs to be clarified. On DS9, Worf had a complicated life and career, completely separate from his experiences on the Enterprise. Yet every time Worf returned for a TNG movie, he was placed back into his familiar role on the bridge as security chief, with no mention of his role on DS9. Well, apart from in First Contact, he were on the Defiant, wasn't he? So that's from DS9. Anyway, this was especially glaring in Star Trek Nemesis, which took place years after DS9's finale and the end of the Dominion War. In DS9's conclusion, What You Leave Behind, Worf killed Chancellor Gowron, Robert O'Reilly, and briefly became the Klingons' leader before he passed the role, for about 2.5 minutes, if that, before he passed the role to his dear friend, General Martok, J.G. Hertzler. Worf then left the space station to become the Federation's ambassador to Kronos, the Klingon homeworld. Yet in Star Trek Nemesis, Worf suddenly appeared back in his Starfleet uniform and serving on the Enterprise as if DS9 never happened. There's also the question as There's also the question of whether or not Worf is the current captain of the Enterprise. In the backstory for Star Trek Picard Season 1, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, was promoted to Admiral and left the Enterprise to lead the Federation's mission to rescue the Klingons from their star-going supernova. The Klingons? It was Romulans, you divvies. I don't know. They want the Romulan star. It was the Hobus star, which was like, God knows, I don't know where it was. But for somehow, because it's J.J. Abrams that made all this up, and Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orsi that made all this up. A supernova, sort of, God knows how many light years away from Romulus, destroyed the, Romulus. But they've no idea. Anyway, Una McCormack's novel, Star Trek Picard, The Last Best Hope, explained that Admiral Picard passed the USS Enterprise E to Worf, his first officer, who was promoted to captain. However, Star Trek novels may or may not be canon, and Worf as captain of the Enterprise has not been canonically established in any Star Trek TV show thus far. Well, the general rule, it used to be with Star Trek novels, where they were classed as canon until something in the TV or movies, until something on screen contradicted it. That was the general rule. I think Gene Roddenberry even might have said that at one point. That if you want it to be canon, it is until something on screen contradicts it. And then whatever's on screen becomes canon, because that's just how it is. Anyway, hopefully Star Trek Picard Season 3 will finally reconcile Worf's contradictory TNG and DS9 career as it simultaneously updates Trekkers on what Worf has been doing in the decades since Star Trek Nemesis. I mean, they'll probably have it that maybe he was the Federation ambassador to Kronos for a brief period, probably until Martok got settled in. And then he could have returned to Starfleet again, because that was what he wanted to do. He didn't want to be some ambassador, did he? He's not very diplomatic, is Worf, is he? even for a Klingon. So, I mean, he's no ambassador Camarag, is he? We're in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, wasn't he? And Star Trek 6. Anyway, where were we? Worf is one of the most complex and richly drawn TNG characters, which is why he fit in so well on DS9, and the Klingon might be missing members of Picard's Enterprise crew, whose return is the most anticipated. Thankfully, Terry Matalas confirmed that Worf looks like Worf in Star Trek Picard Season 3, which has wrapped filming, and the Klingon wasn't and won't be redesigned the way his species was in Star Trek Discovery Season 1. Show us a picture then. Show us a photo of Worf. If it's wrapped filming, just show us a photo of Worf in the makeup chair or on set. That's all we want. You don't have to show any background or what's happening. Just show us a picture of Worf from the neck up, so we don't even see his uniform. So that we know that he looks like Worf. And I bet you £3.67.5 that he doesn't, that there's a change, that he is 25% different. Bet you £1,000,000 he is. Or £3.67.5. So there you go. That's what I reckon. They'll bugger it up, they will, because that's all they know how to do. Right. I'm going to go. I'm getting a snotty nose now. I wish I could get rid of this bug. It's doing my head in. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. So until next time, look after each other, and I'll see thee.